Every afternoon as the leaves turned gold in Maplewood Park, a soft melody danced through the crisp autumn air. Eliza, a literature student at the local university, always found herself drawn to it. It wasn't just the music, it was the way the notes seemed to whisper something personal, something only she could hear. The music came from a man who played under the old oak tree, his eyes closed, his hands moving with effortless grace over the strings of his violin. He was a mystery. No one knew his name, only that he came when the wind rustled the trees and left before dusk. One day, driven by a mix of curiosity and courage, Eliza approached him. "You play beautifully," she said. He opened his eyes and smiled. "Thank you. I'm Lucas." From that day forward, their conversations became routine. She would bring books, he would bring music, and together they would share silent companionship under the falling leaves. Chapter 2: The Echo Between Notes. As weeks passed, Eliza discovered that Lucas had once been a promising concert violinist. He had traveled across Europe but walked away from it all after his mother died. Music became his solace, not his profession. "You remind me of something I lost," he told her once. "But when you sit here, listening, it feels like maybe I haven't lost everything." Eliza felt the same. Her world had been dull since her father passed 2 years ago. Books helped her escape, but Lucas's music gave her peace. One rainy afternoon, Lucas didn't come. Nor the next day. Nor the day after that. She waited. Chapter 3: A Letter in Autumn. A week later, she found a note under the tree. "I had to leave suddenly. My father is ill. I don't know when I'll return, but meeting you was like hearing a forgotten song. Thank you for reminding me why I play. Lucas." Days turned to weeks, weeks into months. Eliza visited the park every day, hoping. Seasons changed, and snow covered the bench they used to share. She moved on with life, graduated, published a collection of poetry, and taught literature. Yet a part of her always listened for the song in the wind. Chapter 4: When Spring Returns. One spring morning, years later, she walked through Maplewood Park with her daughter. A familiar melody floated through the air. Her heart skipped. There, beneath the same oak tree, stood a man with silvering hair and the same gentle eyes. "Lucas." "Eliza," he whispered. "I wasn't sure if it was really you," she said, breathless. He knelt down to greet her child. "And who is this?" "This is Lily," Eliza said softly. "She loves music too." Lucas smiled and played the tune he had written for Eliza years ago, the one that only she could hear in the autumn wind. Chapter 5: The Song Never Ends. Lucas became a part of Eliza's life once more, not just a melody in memory, but a man who stayed. They built a life filled with music, books, laughter, and quiet mornings in the park. Some love stories are loud and sudden, like summer storms. But theirs? Theirs was like autumn, gentle, golden, and unforgettable. Where the River Bends. In the small village of Elswind, nestled between rolling hills and the gentle curve of the Calden River, lived a young woman named Alara. She was a painter, known for her serene landscapes and ability to capture light on canvas as if it were alive. Her days were simple. She painted, tended her garden, and sometimes wandered to the riverbanks where she found her greatest inspiration. One autumn afternoon, while sketching the golden trees reflected in the river, she noticed a stranger sitting nearby with a book. He had dark hair tousled by the wind and a contemplative look in his eyes. Intrigued, Alara approached and struck up a conversation. His name was Tobias, a writer who had come to Elswind seeking quiet after a bitter heartbreak and a burnout of city life. He spoke softly, listened intently, and shared stories that made Alara laugh in a way she hadn't in years. Days turned into weeks. Tobias began joining her on her painting walks, and in turn, Alara listened to the drafts of his novel. She'd offer thoughts, and he'd smile and tell her that her voice now echoed between his lines. They were two artists creating in tandem, slowly weaving themselves into each other's worlds. One night, as the first snow fell quietly over Elswind, Tobias invited Alara to a small bonfire by the river. Wrapped in woolen scarves and sitting close for warmth, he reached into his coat and pulled out a notebook. "I want you to read this," he said. It was his completed manuscript. On the dedication page were the words, "To the painter who taught me to see beauty again." Alara felt tears blur her vision, the firelight dancing in her eyes. "You wrote this because of me?" "No," Tobias whispered. "I wrote it with you." They kissed beneath a canopy of stars, the river whispering beside them. Seasons passed. Tobias stayed. Alara's paintings became more vivid, filled with stories hidden in brushstrokes. Tobias's words softened, deepened. They opened a small gallery together, half library, half art studio, where locals came not only to admire but to feel. Their love was never loud, but it was steady, like the river, always flowing, always bending but never breaking. And so, in the quiet village of Elswind, where stories met the canvas and hearts found rest, Alara and Tobias wrote a love that would outlast even the longest winter.